Hello YouTube, it's time for another episode of Trans Tarot Topics. Sort of. This is not exactly about tarot, but it is about a topic that comes up a lot in tarot community, so I'm using artistic license and putting it in this playlist because it relates, sort of. So the topic is inner child work, and I've noticed, a lot of talk in the tarot community. A lot of folks use tarot to do inner child work. A lot of folks talk about specific cards as supporting their inner child work. So whether that is Six of Cups, the Pages, like getting to know your inner child through tarot. And I wanted to just record a brief video with one trans perspective to this. So for me, inner child work has been important and also very different, or I don't say different, I don't know what cis people's experiences are, but I think there's something unique about it as a trans person for me because so there is a big difference, I guess, between my inner child and my actual childhood experience, which I think is fairly universal, maybe, but having as an adult the language and the understanding culturally of gender and sexuality that I did not have as a child, that I didn't have access to, means that when I think of an inner child, my inner child is a non-binary trans kid. My actual child may very well have been too, but there was no language for that. And I think sometimes in the trans community, like, we want to say, and particularly gatekeepers encourage us to have this narrative of, like, I knew when I was 5 years old, I played with my mom's makeup and dresses, and that was when I knew I was a girl. Like, there's this very specific narrative that I think we are destabilizing more and more as time goes on, and trans people are speaking out and saying that wasn't exactly my experience, but I think there's a lot of sort of encouraging to have that narrative. And I noticed that myself, like, there is a specific experience that I think of as like the apocryphal moment that I, kind of tried to be non-binary at 10 and was violently shut down. And that did happen, and that the story did occur, but I do wonder, with memory, like, how much of the detail did I really was I just randomly declaring that I didn't want to be a boy or girl and had no, like, internal feeling of gender difference, or was it actually, like, an important moment? Who knows? I'll never be able to go back to that memory. I'll never be able to be that person at that moment. So I think we can, like, kind of rewrite our childhoods or have questions. The fact is, like, I'm never going to have an actual experience of childhood having the vocabulary and understanding of transness. And I'll never know, like, did I have a sense of being different gender-wise as a kid or not. But I don't know that it matters. For inner child work, I think what is liberating about it and what can be, like, healing about it is that, so I have now, all these examples of trans kids and hearing about trans kids and having the support and having understanding from parents and teachers. And of course that is not a universal experience, by any means, but there are some trans youth now who have that experience, and they're people younger and younger are learning about things like non-binary gender, or the fact that there are more than two genders. And sometimes I can feel a kind of envy of those kids. And so for me, inner child work can be a way of addressing that envy in the sense of, reliving or feeling or getting to experience being a trans kid in a way that I didn't get to in the 80s and 90s growing up. So, like, I had for a while, I've since given them away to actual children, but for a while it was healing to me to have a collection of trans kids books and to kind of regress or, experience reading those stories as a kid. to like inhabit my inner child while reading those stories, and to get to have the experience, and having dear people in my life who would read the stories to me so that I could have that experience, that I kind of longed for. The idea of like self-parenting that comes up sometimes in talking about inner child work is appealing to me, because it's a chance to like nurture and connect with and offer support to a child version of me as a gender weird kid that never really existed, but is still like part of me somehow. And I think that's the thing about inner child or inner parent, inner caretaker. Like, they're really parts of ourselves that don't necessarily reference a specific historical period in our lives, although they might. But they're the child that lives eternally in all of us and might change over time. And it does resonate with me. The pages resonate with me in this way because I think the pages it's a misnomer to say the pages are children, but I think they are kind of the ongoing experience of youth, which, by the way, includes both immaturity and a lot of wisdom. If you think about gender, even though I didn't have the words necessarily for it, little kids are like way better with trans stuff than adults. Like, if you say to a little kid, I'm not a boy or girl, they say, okay, cool, what are you? Like, a lot of them do, before exposure to like all of the societal norms around this stuff, and even for some time after that, little kids tend to be really wise in these things. So like, there is that spirit that we kind of push aside that I think inner child work is often like designed to access, and I find that to be healing as a trans person. So yeah, that's like I said, it's not super tarot related, but I do think it's interesting. I would be curious in the comments if you have any questions about this. If you are trans yourself, like, what is your experience of inner child work? Even if you're not, like, is there a connection between gender or identity? Does any of this resonate with you, like, along another axis of identity, maybe? How your inner child and your actual child are different? And if you enjoy this series, then be sure that you're subscribed so that you will see when the next episode comes up.